Hey guys, welcome to the page. Hope everyone's doing okay. My name's Liam. I customise Funko Pops over at the page El Duderino Customs on Facebook and Instagram. I'll provide a link to the pages for those of you that didn't already come from there in the first place. The Facebook page is mostly where I post my custom pops. I do so on Instagram as well, but that tends to be intermingled with things like comics and everything as well. So I've been getting a few messages lately to do some videos on getting started on customising pops. So I thought I'd do a few videos just to give hints and tips on how to get started and what you're going to need to get started and where to go from there really. I'd say the first tip is to just be patient. Everyone's got to start somewhere, so it's going to be varying levels of quality. This is my first ever pop. I've still got it. That was made about 4 or 5 years ago, I think. Solid Snake from Metal Gear Solid. He's been through a few moves, so he's seen better days. So yeah, he was made with a DIY pop and obviously an old Rick Grimes head back in the day. So yeah, and one of my more recent ones is this adamant pop that I did. The Prince Charming pop. So I mean, you can see, as the years go by, you're going to pick up different skills here and there. They've both got sculpting on them as well using clay. So like you say, you can see the difference a bit there. It's a bit more polished, the newer one. So yeah, so I thought I'd just do some tips on where to get started and everything. Now, I'd say the first thing you're going to need is a comfortable place to sit. Don't be slouching your back too much and everything while you're doing it, because it's just going to end up hurting your back, and you won't want to sit there painting while your back's aching and everything. So find somewhere comfortable to sit. It'll mean you can do a good stretch of painting and sculpting without having to keep getting up and make yourself comfortable and everything. So I've got a desk here that I've got. I can speak from experience about having uncomfortable positions. I've done it off boxes on the floor and everything, but definitely get somewhere to do it so it's comfortable. So yeah, onto the materials. I'll start off with the paints. Now, the paint you're going to want is acrylic paint. You're going to want to use on pops. It's the only one that really works. Now there's different brands of acrylics. Anyone will probably do, but there's always going to be varying levels of quality. I use Citadel paints. That's what they look like in little tubs like that. There you go. There's a closer look. I don't know where it's focusing. So yeah, that's the paint I use. I've used it since day one. That paint. I've got no complaints. It's great colours, great range of colours. Application's really nice and everything. I've never had a complaint. So yeah, they're the ones I use. Now I usually get mine from Games Workshop that have recently rebranded in some places as just Warhammer shops. So the guys in there are always great. They'll always give you tips if you need any help or anything like that. If you ask them what colours will work with this, or if you have any questions about the different types of paints and everything, they're always happy to help. So that's great, but obviously at the moment, with them not being open, I found the best thing to do is just Google Citadel paints, and a few of the the same providers will come up. Games Workshop should come up as well. Obviously read the notifications at the moment, because a few of them are closed because of measures put in place because of COVID. But I found most of them are still shipping what they've got in stock. Amazon, I've got a few on there, although the prices have gone up a little bit. I'd usually say just only pay around £2.50 to £4 per pot, with maybe like £1, £2 postage here and there. eBay's a good shout as well. They've been providing some paints. I've just got some off eBay actually. I think it cost me about £6 for two pots, for a green and a white. So yeah, that's the paints. So they all come in different colours. So I've got the white, obviously the white and the black. They're your two base colours, what you're going to want the most of. Now, if you're going to be doing skin tone, in the past I've used Kislev Flesh. Now I find that's quite good, but it is quite tanned. So what you might need to do is just mix a bit of white with it. So always make sure you got white, because it'll you know, you can lighten and darken colours with those two as well. I'll go into more about painting the pops in future videos. For now, this is just going to be you know, getting a checklist of what you might need. Secondly, brushes. Now, don't overspend on brushes. I only pay about £3-4 for a multi-pack from the works. Most arts and crafts shops should have brushes in. I mean they'll all have brushes in, but I wouldn't recommend splashing out. You don't really get any difference when you're painting pops. You don't really get any difference in quality or anything like that. Again, while the shops are closed, go on Amazon. There's loads and loads of variety packs on there. You're going to need different brushes. Like you'll get one, you get them all in. So you got a nice thick brush like that. That'll do some layering. And you got a nice thick flat brush. That'll do for layering as well. Then you can get some smaller ones when you want to do the details. So you got these. That's like an in between. So you want to do a bit of thicker layering, but a bit more detailed. And then obviously you get the smaller brushes with more pointed edge. Let's drop one. Yeah, so they'll do for your details and everything. And like I say, any paint brushes will do. You just get a cheap set and they'll work fine. Then next up, this is going to depend on if you're going to want to do sculpting or whether you're going to want to just paint the pot. But I'll go for clays anyway. Now, Das clay is an air drying clay. This is the stuff. I've got half a brick here, but that should give you an idea what it's going to look like. Now that, like I say, is an air drying clay. So you don't need to bake it. You just put it on there and leave it for 24 hours, 48 hours, depending on how much you've put on. And it'll dry rock solid, no problems. And it's really nice to sand as well. This is it out of the package, so as you can see. Now, the one drawback with this is that it's not very malleable. It breaks apart quite easy and everything, as you can see there. It's when it does break apart, it's a bit jagged. I think the best thing I can say about it when it's wet, especially when you're doing little details, it's like moulding with chewing gum. It's not good for little tiny details. Now, I say that, I did do my first pop with Das clay, so I managed to do these with Das. So you can get some detail, and it's good for when you wet it as well, for like smoothing things over. So I'll use Das for certain things. I used to use it exclusively. I don't know why for so long, because once I go on to the next clay, you'll see why. So yeah, I mean, it works for a while. It works for good things, if you want to do blocks of things and everything as well. And it's like I say, it is nice to sand afterwards. It gives a nice smooth finish. But like you can see now, this hasn't been out of the packet long, and it's cracking and crumbling and everything. So yeah, what I would recommend using is Super Sculpey, that stuff. Now, it is more expensive. Das is about £3 or £4 a block. It's cheap as chips, really. Super Sculpey is about £10, £11, something like that. Again, you can get them both off Amazon or any arts and crafts stores that are still operating online. Now, Super Sculpey is brilliant. It isn't an air dry clay. It is, you have to bake it in the oven, but there's no toxins or anything like that. You're fine with that. You can just pop it on a glass tray in the oven, and it'll bake. And what's nice about this as well is it does have a nice plasticky finish. Like if you look at like the recent pop I did, this scarf what I did is used with Super Sculpey, as well as the details behind it. They're all Super Sculpey as well. So it does actually have a nice consistent finish with the vinyl that the pop's made out of. Now, this is the stuff out of the block. Now you can see, I don't know if you can see, but it's much more malleable. It doesn't crack. This is dry as well. This isn't even wet. So it's really good stuff. I don't think I've got anything to hand that I've recently sculpted with it. Maybe this Keith Flint's from Prodigy head that I've got here. Just did the hair on that. So as you can see, you can get a little bit more detail on the head and everything, on the fiddly bits. But yeah, I mean, you can just pull that apart, and still stays nice. Roll it up, got a really nice malleableness to it. So yeah, that's my clay recommendations. I definitely recommend spending a little bit extra getting Super Sculpey. I'll go through what you need to do with the clays afterwards, different bits of moulding and how to bake them and everything like that. But they're my recommendations on clays. I've never used epoxy or anything like that. I've only ever used these two. I've never really had much use for anything else. So you should get on fine with those two, I'd say. The other thing you're going to want, will become your best friend as long as you don't keep stabbing yourself with it, is X-Acto blade, craft knife. Again, get these from any store, any arts and crafts stores. Amazon do plenty. Good thing is about Amazon at the moment is you can buy them with different blades. So you can get the usual, like the scalpel blade, like so, or you can get like flat edged blades. I don't have any with me at the moment, but you can, if you've got to do like different shaped cuts and things like that, it's great for those, especially when you're cutting the plastic on the pop as well. They come in handy for that. Now, the other thing you're going to want is clay moulding kits, if you're going to be doing sculpting, all the tool kits and everything. So again, Amazon's your best bet. I just got a pack with that in. I think it cost me about £8 or something, maybe not even that, £5, I don't know. But you can pick them up for that. You get other little tools as well that you can get loose, like these things. They'll do because they're nice and soft, but wood or metal is fine as well. So yeah, the other thing you may need before painting as well is a primer. Now, if you've not got an outdoor, but don't prime inside, don't spray paint inside because the fumes are not good for you. So if you haven't got any outdoor space, Citadel do a paint on primer. Now that's quite liquidy, that, it's very watery. So I'd recommend maybe mixing it with a black and then painting over the pop just to give it a bit of a base layer, and that should make the paint adhere to the pop a bit better. Now if you do have an outside space, get spray on primer. It gives it a nice coat to the pop, really, just so you can apply the paint a bit better. Now Citadel do a spray on primer as well, so you can get a Citadel spray primer. They cost about £10. I wouldn't recommend getting cheap primers because you can ruin the pop with cheap primers because they don't all adhere to the vinyl as well as others. Army Painter, which I have got to hand, is a good one. That's a black. That and the Citadel black are the two best black primers that I've used. I think black's the easiest primer to get away with. You could probably get a cheap black and it'd work because it's so dark. They just tend to give a nice coverage on the pop when you spray. The best white primer is Army Painter. So again, that's the black one. I've got the white one somewhere, but it's the same packaging. It'll just have white on it. That's the best white primer I've used. Now Citadel's is good, but the Army Painter one gave better coverage and everything. So that's the primers I use. At the moment, they are a bit hard to come by, the primers. You check Amazon, check the craft stores, and anybody that provides Citadel paints will usually provide primers. In the meantime, the white primer I've been using is Rust-Oleum, I think it's called. I got it off Amazon. It had good reviews. I used it the other day, and it had good application. This is the application it gave on the pop, so it went on nice and smooth. You've got to be careful for it running a bit more than the Army Painter. The Army Painter will just go right on there, but that's the coverage on there. I hope you can see it okay. So it went on nice and smooth. That'll give a nice smooth base for the pop. It's been okay. I'll keep using it, see how it goes. But I think in the absence of Army Painter, that's going to be my white primer for the time being. So yeah, there's going to be other things you'll need as well. You're going to need water for your paintbrushes. So just if you're like me and you get takeaway all the time, takeaway tubs, just put the water in there. That's a bit dirty. I've used it for a long time. The other thing you'll need is super glue. Now, just be careful with super glue. I've lost count of how many times I've super glued my fingers together. So be careful when you're using it because it's strong. I use Loctite again, Amazon do it for a couple of quid. That's a good super glue. It's got a nice nozzle at the end of it there, so you can get in, you know, some good small bits of it there and everything. So that's the super glue I use. The other thing you're going to want is a bit of a palette for your paints, because I'll go through this in the painting video, but when you get the paint out of the tub, you're going to need to put it into something and then mix a little bit of water in it. So anything will do for this. What I use is Ferrero Rocher pots. So when I'm done chowing down some Ferrero Rochers, I just cut those pots out, put the paint in the pot, and just mix the water in. But yeah, anything will do for a palette. Bit of plastic that you've got, anything. It's always good to, you know, use old things like that, because you recycle the materials and everything. So yeah, and then you may need, if you want to get precise with things, you know, you get yourself, you know, a ruler, a nice metal ruler, if you need to measure things and everything. And yeah, that's pretty much it for materials, I think. Yeah, I think that should cover it. I'll go into more details of what you might need and different things that are out there and everything, different paints, when I do the paint videos. But that should be that should give you a good start on what you might need to get started on customizing pops. Excuse me. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed the video. If you've got any questions, drop them in the comments, let me know. If you've got any video suggestions that you might want to see coming up, then again, put them in the comments, and we'll go from there. This is my first ever YouTube video, so I hope it's been okay. Thanks for staying with me. It's been a bit choppy, I know, and but well, hopefully I'll get a bit more comfortable doing them as time goes on. So yeah, I'll put the links to my page in the description to the video, and if you want to check out some of my work and everything, you can go over to there as well. And if you want to drop me a message about the videos or any other information you want, just let me know. So yeah, thanks guys. Stay safe, and I'll see you in the next one. Okay, bye.